So I'm sitting here with a cup of coffee. My friend's pedal board is undergoing a transmogrification. The timeline is gone. The new halo is here. That Lux thing is gone. He's brought me an MXR Reverb, which does the same kind of ascending pitch synth pad effect, but we're waiting. I have to change out the pedal power 2 for the pedal power plus to make that happen. The Ego's staying, the Polytune's staying, the Telos is staying. We changed out that Ernie Ball JHS modified volume pedal for the Dunlop Volume X8, which works better for his needs. Takes up less board space. It's really nice. And two of the overdrive pedals that were on here before did not make the grade when we did a overdrive pedal shootout. So we're with the Hotcake and the RC Booster and the Telos. So that's a lot of different options for overdrive as I drop my pick. So I'm sitting here and playing through, and I've had to tweak the Halo presets a lot. Everything as it came was good, but the level was kind of crazy. We're on Bank 1 patch. Well, we'll soon be on A, which is the Halo preset, and the stock settings about here on the level, and that is just way too high. I understand you get the new thing out of the box and you want to hear delay or whatever, stand out at a guitar center, but in practice that level was just really high, and I don't think that's how Timmons is probably using it. If Andy sees this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much all the presets from the factory have the level right there. I think they just want to be heard when you first get the pedal. Helps if I turn it on. And that was just a bit much. So I turned it down and found where I wanted it, and then I saved the preset. And right here, when this light flashes off, that's when you're at a preset location. So I can go back to that. If I wanted to change the feedback from stock, that's where the stock feedback is. Depth is going to be right there. Anyway, that's how you find what the preset settings are, and that holds true for the alternate versions. Anyway, I find that this setting, let me just go back to it so it goes back to what I've saved. I don't have it Velcro down yet, so it's going to move around a little bit. Works really well. It still gives the right effect, but it doesn't dominate quite as much. Now, what I really like about this pedal, and I'm not sure how they've done it, but it's almost like it's ducking. It can be really unobtrusive unless you bring it out in your playing choices. Like, if you do something staccato, you'll hear it, but if you're just doing, it kind of stays in the background as you play softer. It's real out of the way, you dig in. And it holds, it sounds really good with the various overdrives. Here's an RC Booster. Hotcake. Did I mention I'm really digging this new 335? Anyway, so that's the Halo preset, the Andy Timmons preset, and it's really nice. Once the level's tweaked, I didn't have to make any other changes. But second preset from the factory is the dotted 8s, and I made some changes to that. One of the things I was curious about was to see if this would replicate the delay settings that a lot of U2 fans like. I used to be really pretty well known in that fan community for guitarists, and I know how all the various stuff works. I used to have a 2290, I used to have an SED3K and various pieces of gear. And what was cool about the SED3K delay, and that the 2290 does it as well, is it has a very fast modulation rate, and just the tiniest little touch of it is put in there. And this doesn't quite get there. It doesn't quite go fast enough, and the threshold between not audible and warbly is pretty abrupt. But it does an awful lot of good sounding modulation. It just doesn't do that old 2290 SED3K thing perfectly. That's fine. It wasn't what it was designed for. I was hoping that it would accidentally do that as well. But what it does do is a very nice dotted 8 thing that very few people would hear the difference live. So let's do the tap tempo feature. So let me hold it down for a second, and then I'll tap it in. So. Now this is not a Strat, so you know it's an approximation, but it's a nice one. About 6 repeats. So I think that's a very nice thing. The changes I made to it over factory was I rolled off a little bit more of the lows, I rolled off a little bit less of the highs, and I changed the rate to what I thought gave a little more interest on a sustained note. Almost like having a mild chorus on. Let's see, let's go up to the next bank. You can do that by either hitting this once or hitting both buttons at the same time. So we're bank 2, preset 1, and this is slow quarter notes. The only thing I changed about it was the level. It was really crazy hot in stock form, and this is just a real nice subtle thing. Just kind of something to have in the background or for leads. That's one we'll probably dial in more once my friend / client is here. I think it needs fewer repeats and maybe a little more level than that. It's a tricky thing to dial in, but it's nice to have one delay preset on here that's pretty subtle. It doesn't really sound like it's adding anything percussive. It's just kind of an air, and you can still do some sweeps. Anyway, we'll see how that one ends up. The next one I believe is Slapback. Yeah, I found the Slapback in stock form to be too loud and to be a little too obviously just a single repeat. So I changed it to almost 2 repeats. And I found that little bit of an additional repeat gave a little bit more ambience and made it sound a little bit more like some of the actual Slapback tape echoes and room echoes on old recordings. I don't play the appropriate style for that, but it's there. Kind of adds like a reverb effect to it, a small room effect. My friend is a bona fide country picker. I think he'll like that a lot. Let's go up to the next bank, bank 3. And this one I believe is the space echo kind of thing. I think again I just gave it a little more feedback to add a little more oomph. To me that that's the least useful of the presets. I'll talk to my client about whether he wants to use it for that or some other thing that he will use more frequently. Not every preset's for everyone, nor should they be. And the order of these may change around, but it's easy to write down what they are. And the factory presets come in the manual. You can always get back to them, or you can do a hard reset. Let's go to Bank 3B. And that, I believe, is the Bucket Brigade from the Rockman. No, I'm sorry. That's the fake plate reverb, which is nice. Let's add a little oomph. Sometimes it's good to change well-known tonal references up enough that we don't get demonetized, but that's a nice sound there. That just adding a little oomph to something. Or let's see. I think the next one's the Rockman Bucket Brigade. Just kind of adds sustain to things, just kind of fills out behind what you're playing. When you play clean through it, it sounds kind of awful. A little over the top. What are the rhythms doing? Doesn't make much sense. There's a dotted and a quarter, I guess. But again, with a gain solo thing, that's pretty much awesome right there. That would sell the pedal if that was all it did, I think, once people found out about it. And the last one, I think might be the other preset, which will get changed. It's just really high feedback on quarter notes. Which can be good if you're doing volume swells. But for that, I think the halo effect might be even better. I think it might be good to make a preset that does that without going quite as long. Let's see how long that goes. That's there on the feedback. Maybe set it so that it's there on the feedback. We'll see what that sounds like. That's still a lot of trail off. Let's go back to the quarter notes that it was. So that would sound like this for the swoops. But then if you wanted to do longer feedback, you can do this. Missed it. Sorry. Still not good at this. Anyway, one of the reasons I wanted to do this was to show my friend, the client, that the foot switches on this halo are useful enough that I think it needs to move down to the bottom tier of pedals, and some of the overdrives can go up higher. Because you're just that's an on-off thing. That's not a tap thing or a change banks or a hold thing. So it might also be worthwhile, given all the things this can do, to either add an expression pedal or a tap tempo pedal. At the very least, if I were using this, I'd have a separate tap tempo, but I use delay when I actually play, opposed to what I do in the videos here, which is just testing amps without pedals, more than most. So he may be fine as is, but I do think this is a first tier, easily accessible pedal, not a tuck away in the back like the Timeline was for him. I'm really impressed with this pedal. I don't, however, magically sound like Andy Timmons, so I want my money back. I not only don't sound like Andy Timmons, I don't know how to use the pedal as well as he does yet. Well, when this pedal board is finalized, it'll get a real final video with real audio, and the amp will be mic'd and all that, and it'll probably be a cooler thing as far as telling people, what they want to hear. A little less talking in the final one, I guess, is what I'm saying. People want to hear people make fiddly noises rather than explain all the stuff behind the fiddly noises, in which case you might have the wrong channel, but that's life.